My stepchildren bragged I was replaceable and that anyone could do what I do, so I let them test that theory. I stopped contributing to anything beyond my legal obligations, and they discovered real quick that independence costs more than pride. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. I'm Daniel, 52, a contractor by trade, and for the last 8 years I've been married to Laura and stepfather to her 2 kids, Ethan, now 23, and Maya, 21. Their biological father walked out when they were toddlers, pays minimal child support when he remembers to, and hasn't been involved in their lives since. I knew stepping into that role wouldn't be easy, but I never expected the amount of disrespect that would come wrapped in sarcasm and entitlement. When I married Laura, she was working part-time as a medical transcriptionist, making just enough to cover basics. The kids were 15 and 13. I made decent money as a contractor, so we agreed I'd handle the bulk of expenses while she focused on being there for the kids during their teenage years. It seemed fair. It was supposed to be temporary. 8 years later, that arrangement had become permanent. I paid the mortgage, the car payments, insurance for everyone, utilities, groceries, and anything extra. The kids needed college application fees, car repairs, emergency loans that never got repaid. Laura had stopped working entirely once Ethan started college, saying she needed to be available for them. I didn't argue. That's what you do for family. But somewhere along the way, my contributions stopped being appreciated and started being expected. The kids developed this attitude that everything just happened, like money grew on trees and bills paid themselves. It started with small comments. Ethan would joke that I wasn't their real dad whenever I'd set a boundary. Maya once said at dinner that her friend's stepdad was way cooler because he didn't micromanage like I did. Micromanage meant asking them to help with chores or contribute to gas money. Then last Thanksgiving something shifted. I'd spent the whole week preparing smoked turkey, all the sides, everything from scratch. Halfway through dinner, Ethan raised his glass and said, "To family and to the people who are smart enough to know they're replaceable." Everyone laughed. Maya added, "Seriously, Mom could do so much better. Anyone could do what he does." Laura gave them a weak, "That's enough," but she was smiling, like it was harmless banter. I didn't say anything. I just made a mental note. Because when people show you who they are, believe them. 2 weeks later, Maya called asking if I could spot her rent money $800 because she'd miscalculated her budget. This was the 3rd time in 2 months. I told her she should try calling her replaceable stepdad's replacement. She hung up on me. That night, Laura confronted me. "You're being petty. They're just kids making jokes." "They're adults," I said, "and if I'm so replaceable, maybe they should figure out what it costs to replace me." She told me I was taking things too seriously, so I decided to show her what too seriously actually looked like. I started with a spreadsheet. Every single expense I'd covered for the past year: mortgage, insurance, utilities, car payments, phone bills, health insurance premiums, groceries, gas money, emergency funds. The total was staggering, over $85,000 in 1 year, not counting the college tuition I'd already paid off for Ethan and was currently paying for Maya. Then I made a plan. I wasn't going to cut anyone off vindictively. I was going to stop volunteering to be their safety net. I called my bank and removed Maya and Ethan as authorized users on my credit cards. I stopped the auto payments on Ethan's car insurance. It was his car, titled in his name, so he could pay for it. I contacted the cell phone provider and moved their lines onto separate accounts under their own names, prepaid for 1 final month as a courtesy. I stopped automatically transferring money into the household account Laura used for groceries and bills. Most importantly, I withdrew my half of our joint savings, exactly 50%, down to the dollar, and opened a separate account. I left her half untouched, along with enough in checking to cover 1 month of her portion of bills. Then I told Laura I was taking time to myself. I rented a small cabin about an hour away, month-to-month lease. Not running away, just creating space. I sent her a detailed message. "I've removed my automatic contributions to household expenses. Everything you and the kids need is now your responsibility to manage. I'll continue paying my legal obligation on the mortgage and homeowner's insurance since my name is on the deed. Everything else is on you." I need to clear my head. The first 3 days were quiet, peaceful even. I went hiking, read books I'd been putting off, slept without my phone buzzing. Then day 4 hit. My phone started ringing. Laura first, then Maya, then Ethan. I let them go to voicemail. When I finally listened, the panic was obvious. Maya's card got declined at the grocery store, Ethan's insurance payment bounced, and his coverage got suspended. Laura tried to pay the electric bill and realized I'd removed my auto payment. She'd have to cover the full amount herself. Their phone service stopped working after the prepaid month ran out. When I finally answered Laura's call, her voice was shaking. "Daniel, what are you doing?" "The kids can't access anything. Ethan's insurance lapsed." I stayed calm. "I removed myself from expenses that aren't my legal responsibility. Ethan's an adult. He can insure his own car." "He can't afford it." "Then maybe he shouldn't have called me replaceable." She hung up. 10 minutes later, Ethan texted, "This is messed up. You're supposed to be the adult here." I replied, "Adults pay their own bills." Over the next 2 weeks, reality set in for them. Maya had to pick up extra shifts at her campus job to cover rent. Ethan borrowed money from friends to reinstate his insurance, then had to sell his gaming computer to pay them back. Laura started substitute teaching again, something she hadn't done in 4 years, just to cover the electric and water bills. I wasn't monitoring them to enjoy their struggle. I was just not rescuing them anymore. Around Christmas, Laura drove to the cabin. She looked exhausted. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, eyes red. She didn't yell. She just said quietly, "You made your point. Please come home." "I'm not making a point," I said. "I'm protecting myself. I spent 8 years being the foundation you all stood on, and the moment I asked for respect, I got called replaceable." "They didn't mean it," she said. "They did. And you let them. You smiled while they said it." She started crying. "What do you want from us?" "I want you to understand that I'm not an ATM with feelings. I'm a person who chose to love you and take care of your kids like they were mine. And I'm done being treated like hired help." She left angry. I stayed. In early January, something shifted. Maya sent me an email subject line just said, "I'm sorry." The message was short. "I didn't realize how much you did until it stopped. I thought things just happened because that's how it always was. I'm working 2 jobs now, and I finally get it. You weren't being controlling. You were carrying us. I'm sorry I took that for granted." I didn't respond immediately. I wanted to see if the change was real. A week later, Ethan showed up at the cabin. He looked different, tired, humbled. He didn't come in with excuses. He just said, "I was wrong. I thought providing was easy because you made it look easy. I've been working doubles to cover my insurance and truck payment. It sucks. And I finally understand why you were pissed." We sat on the porch in silence for a few minutes. Then I said, "Being replaceable isn't the insult you thought it was. It just meant you never saw the work behind the scenes." He nodded. "I see it now." By February, things had changed. Laura got a full-time position at a medical office. Maya kept both jobs and was budgeting for the first time in her life. Ethan started paying his own bills without asking for help. They weren't thriving, but they were functioning. Laura invited me to dinner at the house. When I walked in, the atmosphere was different, quieter, more respectful. Maya had cooked nothing fancy, but she'd put in effort. Ethan poured me a drink without being asked. Halfway through the meal, Laura reached across the table and took my hand. "We needed this wake-up call. I'm sorry it took losing you to make us see how much you did." I squeezed her hand. "You didn't lose me. You just met the version of me that won't be taken for granted." That night, Maya handed me an envelope. Inside was $200 in cash and a note. "First payment toward what I owe you for the Thanksgiving insult. There's more coming." I didn't need the money, but I kept it. Because it wasn't about the cash, it was about the acknowledgement. 3 months later, I moved back home part-time, kept the cabin for weekends. We renegotiated everything. Laura contributes financially now. The kids pay their own way. We share dinners, but it's voluntary, not expected. Ethan said something to me last month that stuck. "I thought replaceable meant you weren't important. Turns out it meant we never learned to appreciate what we had." He finally got it. So here's my question for you. Was I wrong to stop providing and let them struggle? Should I have just accepted the disrespect and kept being the bank? Or was stepping back the only way they'd ever learn to respect what I contributed? Let me know in the comments what you think. I genuinely want to hear what you would have done differently. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps the channel grow and brings more real stories about boundaries, respect, and what happens when people take you for granted. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.